For those who are unfamiliar, this is Laura Loomer on screen here, okay? She is a deep, deep white supremacist and Christian nationalist, and she's running for office. Well, she was running for office. She lost. It is fantastic news, to be perfectly honest. She came entirely too close to having a position of power. She is as extreme as they come. She is effectively a full-blown Nazi. No hyperbole here. I mean, you guys probably heard of Richard Spencer, right? Famous Nazi. He's one of the people who got punched on the street a while back. And, anyway, that's neither here nor there. She believes the same way that Richard Spencer believes. She agrees with him ideologically, but she wants to replace him as the face of the movement because she thinks that he is optically bad for the movement. Well, like I said, she lost her election. That news couldn't have possibly come at a better time, in my opinion. And she absolutely melted down over it. Oh my God, she lost her mind. Check this out. Late August 2022. This is her concession speech, if you will. Not really a concession exactly. Listen to what she had to say when she found out she lost. And just drink up those tears while you listen.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously. Please. Because the American people deserve representation. And that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why I ran for Congress in 2022. And it's why I'm going to keep fighting for all of you. I'm never going to...
Yeah, so that was her supposed quote-unquote concession speech. She's complaining that there was fraud or that she lost because of, Well, she did claim that there was fraud in this concession speech. In this specific clip, she was saying that she lost at least in part because of big tech censorship or whatever. She is extremely deplatformed. For good reason, too. I can only play some of the things that she has had to say because it's so deeply bad. But let's just take a look at her record and see what she's had to say. Just a little bit, okay? Check this one out. This is leading up to her 2022 election failure. By the way, the district that she lost in, she lost her primary to a Republican. It is a perfectly safe red district. It will never go blue, as far as I can tell. It's been gerrymandered that way. If she had won that district, she would have been guaranteed a spot in Congress. Now we're going to get a different extremist Republican in her place. At least it's not Laura Loomer of all people. Listen to what she had to say here. Check this out. This is on killstream.tv.
I'm a really big supporter of the Christian nationalist movement. I support Christians. I'm going to fight for Christians. I'm going to fight for white people. I'm going to fight for nationalist movements. I'm going to fight against the anti-white racism that is being, perpetuated. I'm going to fight for all Americans, really. All freedom-loving Americans, regardless of their background. But there is clearly a war on white people. There's clearly a war on Christianity in this country.
Yeah, that didn't sound like she intended to fight for all Americans, all quote-unquote freedom-loving Americans. She just listed groups that she believed were oppressed and that she would be fighting for specifically. White people. She's going to fight for Christian nationalism, white nationalism. That's insane. That is insane, okay? And by the by, she is Jewish, was Jewish. She converted to Christianity very recently. She's been removed from basically every social media network in existence. She's been removed from YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of them. And she's been backed into a corner of only using something like Telegram. That's basically her only option. Her official Telegram channel, like Laura Loomer Official for her campaign or whatever, has 30,000 subscribers on there, it looks like. Looks like she's got about 31,000 subbies on Telegram, which is not nothing on Telegram. It's a significantly smaller platform than, say, YouTube or Twitch or whatever. So the fact that she has as many as 31,000 is, blow me away gigantic. But she's had some things to say on her Telegram that I wanted to pull up. She runs in the same circles as Nick Fuentes. If you're not sure who that is, He is basically king of the incels. I've done some clips on him before. You can just go look. He is an extremist who is also borderline neo-Nazi at best. In fact, I may venture as far as to say full-blown neo-Nazi. But he says, I trust Gab because Gab is run by a faithful Christian and not some Judeo-Christian either, a Christian. Laura Loomer says the idea that you can't trust someone who's Jewish is quite absurd, because of course she's Jewish. I've been on Gab since it was created. I sent donors to Andrew Torba in 2017. I've never condemned him or Nick Fuentes, and I've fought for the America First agenda as a Jewish American. Obviously, we just heard her explicitly say that she's fighting for white nationalism and Christian nationalism in the U.S., despite the fact that she was born and raised Jewish, basically, right? I've also taken lawsuits against Google, Facebook, Twitter, and Apple all the way to the Supreme Court as a Jewish American. So anyway, she's upset that people were fighting Judaism. Well, Nick Fuentes is fighting Judaism and wants just Christians in it, right? I will not stand for this claim that only Christians are loyal to America. This is Laura Loomer again. I'm Jewish and I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm loyal to my country. Defend your right to say what you want, but just because you say it doesn't mean it's accurate, so on and so forth. Shortly thereafter, she comes out and says she's a Christian. How about that? She came out as a Christian. When it became convenient to her, when she saw the way that the tides were moving and realized that the party, the Republican Party, is no longer interested in Jewish people, doesn't want them to be a part of the party at all, particularly since Doug Mastriano a while back said no Jewish people and no gay people allowed at our events, specifically because Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin wanted to show up and do interviews. He specifically said no gays and no Jews. That's when she came out as a Christian. Very recently. Been a Jewish person her entire life. Now she's Christian because she can see the way that the tides are moving. That's really sad, honestly. Really sad. But it should give you insight into her mind and how it operates and how she feels about things and how she thinks and all of it. She believes in the Christian nationalist cause and is willing to go to any lengths to make that dream of Christian nationalism a reality, and that's deeply disturbing. Keep listening to what she had to say here on Killstream.
Even though I am Jewish, I'm still going to fight for Christian nationalists, and I find that most of my friends and most of my allies and most of the people who I associate these days with are Christian nationalists.
That's insane, man. Of course, like I said, she's no longer Jewish. She claims to be Christian, but that is insane, and it's so deeply sad. Check this one out. This is her talking about being psychic, or she seems to believe that she's psychic. This is her explaining. Listen to this.
I have this kind of a blessing, but it's also a curse, where I'm able to see things coming years ahead of when they actually happen, right? And of course, that's when people call you a conspiracy theorist, because they say, oh, that's so crazy, that's never going to happen. And I knew that big tech was going to try to steal the election in 2020.
Okay, she was removed from all of these platforms in 2020. I don't know exactly which ones. I don't know if it was like Gab and Parler and stuff, but it was at the very least YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of the big ones. The reason that she was removed is because of the violent, horrific stuff that she said. That is what happens when you say violent, horrific stuff on social media. You're removed. Social media companies removing you for basically repeating things that like Hitler would say about Jews is not bad. That's a good thing. We don't want that in our public discourse. We don't need it. The only thing that serves is pushing us further down the road that people were on in World War II Germany. I don't want that. That's not good. I don't want people running for Congress and on social media and having their voices amplified who are saying some of the horrific, messed up stuff that was said by Hitler in World War II. Like, that's insane. I simply don't want it.
And people said I was nuts. I knew they were going to ban Donald Trump. People said I was nuts. And I felt like I had to run for office in order to make a difference, because I don't see anybody in the party doing anything to stop this, you know?
Wow, so she said they were going to ban Donald Trump, and people said she was nuts. Who? Which people? Which people said you were nuts? I think people could see that coming from a mile away. Pretty much everybody. At some point, it was more likely than not that Trump is going to be removed from certain social media websites. Twitter was his big thing. He had a gigantic Twitter following, and that's where he did a lot of his messaging and stuff. So it took entirely too long for Twitter to remove him, but it was honestly no surprise whatsoever when he was finally removed. If that doesn't mean you're prophetic, that doesn't mean you're psychic. That means you had common sense and you could read a room or read a situation. Really, come on.
I'm not saying that I'm a psychic, but I am saying that there are people who do, have abilities, right? I mean, it's called prophecy. I'm not saying that I'm a prophet, but what I am saying is that everything that I've predicted has happened. Everything that I said was going to happen has come true. And so perhaps people should listen to what I say because I have a pretty strong batting record.
Okay, wow. I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm not saying I'm psychic. I'm just saying I foretell the future on a regular basis, and I am correct 99 to 100% of the time. What are you saying then? What are you saying? Get a little more specific for me. Ridiculous, man. God, I'm so glad that she lost. So deeply glad. Oh my God. We did not need this voice amplified. It gets even worse. It gets even crazier. Believe me. Like I said, I can't play some of the stuff that she's said. It's too over the line. Check this one out. In this one, she's talking about the current Republican Party and how she feels about them.
Even Gitmo is too good for Ronna Romney.
Okay, Ronna McDaniels is the head of the RNC. I'm assuming that she's making fun of Ronna McDaniels by calling her Ronna Romney. I don't know what she meant by that. Even Gitmo, though, huh? You think even Gitmo is too good for them? An extrajudicial prison camp where people are tortured and mistreated on a regular basis, have no human rights whatsoever. She apparently wants to remove people's human rights if they are on her side politically, but not extreme enough.
Even Gitmo is too good for Ronna Romney. Okay, even Gitmo is too good for Kevin McCarthy and all of these.
Kevin McCarthy is the current House Minority Leader, 2020 to 2022, I believe. So that's why she's calling him out. He's the Republican leader in the House.
And all of these scumbag rhinos in the NRCC and NRSC who threw our president and threw patriots under the bus and allowed for the Democrats to steal the election. You ever see 2000 Mules, right? You go watch it. Everybody who's watching this, go watch 2000 Mules. They had whistleblowers. They had whistleblowers who had video evidence, surveillance video evidence, and they took it to the crooks and the NRCC and the RNC and all of these crooked Republican organizations that run our feckless current Republican Party. And you know what? They didn't do anything about it.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. First of all, the 2020 election was not stolen. I just want to lay that out there. The 2000 Mules is a ridiculous propaganda film that uses circumstantial evidence at best to try to make the case that it was stolen. It's piss poor. And what she said there a minute ago about there being video evidence, no, there isn't. No, there isn't. There is no video evidence. If there is, then let me see it. Somebody send me the video evidence of this. It doesn't exist. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. And third, this is Pete Santilly on the left. The guy is... oh my God. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say about Pete Santilly. Ugh. If you want to see more from Pete Santilly, check out my Unfiltered YouTube channel or my Twitch. I've got to cover the guy soon because he's something else. Let me just show you like a short snippet of something else this guy had to say. This is another candidate for Congress named Deanna Lorraine. She was an InfoWars correspondent for a while. Matter of fact, Laura Loomer was also an InfoWars correspondent, but that's neither here nor there. This is from early August 2021, and this is Pete Santilly talking to Deanna Lorraine.
The people now that are learning more about the adverse impact of getting vaccinated, they're having regrets about it because...
What people? What people are having adverse reactions? What people are regretting getting vaccinated? I haven't talked to a single one. I'm sure there's probably somebody out there vaccines were by and large an incredible thing for humanity, like mind-blowingly useful and helpful in society. And this guy is demonizing them. Why? Who knows? Just because, I guess. But just wait for his conspiracy theory to spin up. He hasn't gotten there yet.
We're hearing about this shedding that's going on, and
the vaccine shedding.
The shedding. And
it's possible for vaccines to shed the way they're describing. Not the COVID vaccine. It does not work that way. It's not possible in that case. So they're just completely full of it there.
And also, the activation of the graphene oxide is actually sitting there dormant. But if it gets energized by something like 5G, it actually kills all the cells around it. That is so crazy to me.
That's crazy to me, too. Literally nothing in that sentence made any sense or was true at all. We have entered Nutter Butter land officially. Graphene oxide is not an ingredient in the vaccine. Never was, never will be. 5G doesn't affect graphene oxide in the body? I mean, do I really need to point any of this out? Just ridiculous. So that's who Laura Loomer is talking to right now. That guy. The guy who believes that graphene oxide is in the vaccine and is going to be activated when they turn on 5G networks. By the way, when he put that out, 5G networks were already active in the U.S. In fact, I live in an area that has 5G, and I got vaccinated, and lo and behold, I'm not dead. How about that? Anyway, I'm hoping you're starting to see, like, the level of discourse that we're at here. I hope you're starting to see, like, where these people's heads are at, and how deeply glad I am that she lost, and why I just eat it up when I see her crying on stage and screaming about fraud.
Because the American people deserve representation, and that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why
I love it, dude. She is a deeply flawed candidate, to say the least. Deeply flawed candidate. And she would only make things worse in the country. The only direction she would bring us is down. Keep listening to her conversation with Pete Santilly here.
Crooked Republican organizations that run our feckless current Republican Party. And you know what? They didn't do anything about it. They didn't do anything about it because you know what? They were in on this deal, and 2000 Mules proves it.
No. There was no election fraud. 2020 was one of the most secure elections in U.S. history because Trump was making the claims about election fraud before the election even happened. Before it even happened, he's screaming about it. So Democrats and Republicans both were watching everything like a hawk and making sure everything was completely and totally 100% above board. And after the fact, people filed lawsuits and searched through voting records and talked to people and tried to find evidence of fraud. Not a single piece of evidence pointed to systemic fraud that could have possibly overturned even a single state, let alone an entire election. Joe Biden won. That's just what it is. Now, they're going to keep releasing these propaganda films, 2000 Mules and all of the others. Complete nonsense. It was complete nonsense when Trump made these claims. It's complete nonsense now. She also went on Alex Jones's show, actually. That was kind of interesting. She's actually an Alex Jones, like an InfoWars correspondent for a while, or a reporter. I'm not sure exactly what her role was, but she went on Alex Jones's show, InfoWars, and talked to him while she was running for Congress. Listen to this.
They think MTG was dangerous.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I can't wait till you're in Congress, but we got to push it over the top here.
Yeah, and Alex, hopefully, you know, when I win my election and I become the first deplatformed candidate in United States history, you know, I would love
the first deplatformed candidate in U.S. history. Wait, I mean, Trump was removed from Twitter while he was president, but I guess not while he was running for president, right? They should have banned him from Twitter, like, when he was running. So, okay, I don't know. Maybe that's true, but it's only like a half-truth. Like, many politicians have been removed from social media, just not while they're campaigning, necessarily. And was she even removed while she was campaigning? I'm not sure.
You know, I would love to serve on the House Energy Commerce Committee in Congress so that I can take on the big tech social media tyrants. And I would love to personally invite you to testify in Congress. You know, since you as well as myself, we are probably the two most censored and banned individuals in the entire country, if not the entire world. And I look forward to platforming your voice in the United States Congress.
I can't wait. Well, why do you think they singled, because it really is true, you and I out? You're like man from Uber, Airbnb, myself included. Why do they pick you and I up front 4 years ago to do that too?
Really? You don't know? You don't know why they picked you, Alex Jones, and you, Laura Loomer, specifically out of anybody? You saying you're wondering why they didn't ban Joe Biden rather than Laura Loomer? Are you kidding me? Do you think maybe it's all the Nazi talking points? Could that be it? Or no? Is that not possible? You think they just picked your name out of a hat? Just ban Laura Loomer just because?
Because we're truth seekers and we're ahead of the curve. I think that you and I really have been trailblazers, especially when it comes to waking people up about big tech social media censorship. And we are probably the best. I would say we are the best journalists in America today, the best investigative journalists alive.
Okay, Laura Loomer and Alex Jones are not journalists, certainly not investigative journalists. They are commentators at best. I'm not a journalist. I'm a commentator. I take a story and I talk about it. I'm not investigating these things and digging into it and coming up with sources and asking tough questions and going places with the camera and all that stuff, writing articles that are unbiased or any of that stuff. I'm just talking about what I think about issues. That's a commentator. Tucker Carlson is not a journalist. He's a commentator. Don't confuse the two. Just absolutely ridiculous from top to bottom, dude. Check this one out. This should give you a good idea of the types of things that she believes.
Our educational institutions, whether it be the public school systems or institutions of higher education, they are being infiltrated with godless communists and Marxists who are trying to indoctrinate your children and your grandchildren with LGBTQ degeneracy, okay, and anti-God, anti-white propaganda, anti-American propaganda.
Yeah, that's Laura Loomer. Jesus Christ, dude. I am so glad she lost her election. Oh my God. I couldn't have come at a better time and couldn't have happened to a nicer person, right? I'm just so deeply glad. And the fact that she lost her election means that we get this.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously.
I love it. I love it. You can hear her like choking up because she lost her election. Like the way that she says the word seriously. I'm so glad that she lost. So glad that she lost. I'm drinking these tears up, man. Drinking them up. Here's another one. Interesting little fun fact about Laura Loomer. She held a protest in New York City, I believe. She handcuffed herself to something. I don't remember what it was over or where it happened exactly, but she handcuffed herself and apparently threw away the key and forgot that she needs to use the bathroom every few hours. So she asked the police to cut through the handcuffs for her, presumably so she could use the bathroom. Not the smartest idea to throw the key away, probably. But I guess, whatever. Live and learn, I suppose, right? Live and learn. Listen to this one.
People here are very down to earth. They care about God, they care about their country, and they care about preserving the Constitution. And so I'm able to be myself. In Palm Beach, I had to appeal to a more independent voting base or a more moderate voting base because it was more liberal there. But, I'm very right wing. I'm running a campaign to the right of the current Republican Congress.
You don't say.
And that's what the voters here want. And, pertaining to, your background with white advocacy and being a white advocate and, really pioneering the intellectual discussion, right, around race and demographics in this country.
She believes that her viewpoint on racial issues is the intellectual side, the intellectual discussion.
Citrus County, which is in my district, is also the whitest district in the entire state of Florida, too. And so these issues of CRT and anti-white racism and anti-white hatred and this anti-American, anti-white Christian mentality that the Democrats are pushing, right? They're trying to persecute white people. They're trying to persecute Christians, the most persecuted people in the world. That's on the radar of my constituency. And I look forward to being their advocate when I win my race and, get elected as their next congresswoman.
Dude, her brain is empty except for propaganda. Nothing in there but propaganda. That's it. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. How did she get here? How did this person get to this point in her life where she believes this insane stuff? That is nuts.
Well, that does sound very exciting.
Oh my God, dude. But like I said, man, you've got to love it when you see something so perfect as this.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously. Please. Because the American people deserve representation. And that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why I ran for Congress in 2022. And it's why I'm going to keep fighting for all of you. I'm never going to.
Yeah, she's got problems, dude. She's got problems. So here's my question. Does she really believe that she was cheated out of this election? Does she really believe that there was like a voter fraud or whatever in her district, her tiny little itty bitty district that's 99% white or whatever? Does she really believe that the Republican opponent that she ran against orchestrated this whole voter fraud thing? Or is she just using it to her own political ends? Let me know what you think in the comments or on Twitter @TelltaleAtheist.